trying to learn more, get more knowledge. So यहाँ पे हम सब अपनी तरफ से जो हमारा knowledge है, just we are here to share our knowledge and we will make it interactive. I am Professor Dr. Mahesh Bhatt. I am working as an associate professor in Government Science College, Either, and I have done courses apart from regular that MA, MPhil, and PhD in English. I have done my that is particularly diploma courses from Somnath Sanskrit University, maybe around 15 years back. It was on Jyotish Shastra, then Vastu Shastra, then temple management, and also I have done some certificate course on what we say Purana, that is Darshan Shastra. It was on Darshan Shastra. So I'm also interested in this Hindu studies. So I think that it would have been better if I was also one of the students over here. तो मुझे लगता है कि मैं भी एक student होता तो आपके लोगों के साथ interaction का मजा आता. Now I think you are aware about the syllabus of this paper, okay? And it is about this approaches and Western what we say. 1 minute, please. All of you are aware about the paper, right? The title of the paper and about yes. Just the paper is regarding paper number 1420-102, right? It is regarding Western methods for understanding discourses, right? So we are dealing with this particular paper, which is having 4 units, and I have been assigned the first unit, that is Western methods for understanding discourses. And in this particular unit, there are 3 subunits, subtopics, and out of these, I am given today the topic that is new criticism, importance of form and literariness, but not the author, and it includes formalism also. Now, here, as I have heard from you that 2 or 3 participants, fellows are from English background, literature background, right? आपने सबसे पहले हम डिस्कस करते हैं. We will be trying to discuss one more thing that I would like to know, that in your examination, will you be having paper in English as well as Hindi? You can answer in Hindi as well as in English, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Yes,
so most of the discussion we will be trying to discuss in English, as the topic is a new criticism and about criticism and Western discourse is there, right? लेकिन हमारा जो concept है, the title criticism, can you just say 1 or 2 words or sentences about your idea about criticism? What is criticism? You
Huh.
can explain in any language. Language is not a barrier for us. Yes.
So
Yes, sir.
to very topic, we can say to a specific issue,
Uh,
study of the particular issue, and
uh,
analyze in a critical manner. That means analysis in a balanced way, not in a
yes.
favor, or not to just find out the fault. It is not like that, but to
Yes.
considering as per our own perception, considering the
Yes.
different criteria, and
Yes.
evaluating with either in the reference to context or in general.
Okay. Okay, sir. Now, what I think today, that my plan for delivering the session, that let me tell you. First of all, I will clarify the concept of criticism. You may be aware about it. As the learned audience is there, I feel that what should I speak here? But I'm comfortable. But the thing is that first we will discuss about what is criticism, okay, and what are the qualities of a good critic. That is the very beginning of studying criticism, okay, and then we will discuss about some criticism from historical perspective, before we come to new criticism and the criticism in the current scenario, or what we say in the modern age. Okay, it is better if we discuss about the feature, that is what we say historical background of criticism, okay, and particularly Western discourse. Then let me start my presentation. Okay. This is criticism. Can you see the slides, please?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Whenever you feel comfortable, you can read, because see, we are not here teacher and students like that. I am also a learner. So the term criticism derives from the Greek word kritikos. Now, dear friends, can we use this particular? I want to delete this word derives from the Greek word. Can you suggest me any other word for this? If I want to rewrite this, the criticism, the word criticism is derived from this particular Greek word. हम सब तो संस्कृत वाले हैं, राइट? संस्कृत स्टडीज, हम जब गुरु पूर्णिमा के दिन बोलते हैं कि गुरु शब्द यहाँ से उसका आया है, तो उसका हम क्या बोलते हैं उसके लिए कुछ? कैन यू?
Origin, sir, origin of the word.
Very good, very good.
Etymology.
Very good, very good. That is the perfect word, right? उसको हम गुजराती या संस्कृत में बोलते हैं व्युत्पत्ति शास्त्र, व्युत्पत्ति शास्त्र, right? So that is etymologically very good, very good. So originally that is the main, the root of the word is kritikos from the Greek word, right? And as we studied that English has borrowed words from many languages, so here this is from the Greek word, and it means a judge of literature. Okay, now here I have taken some definitions of criticism just to understand the idea of criticism. If anyone would like to read, please you can read from the slide so that I can have that idea that you can see the slide properly. Anyone?
It is not screen. Second slide is, sir.
I'm okay.
Only first slide is screening.
Okay, wait 1 minute. 1 minute. Thank you for your 1 minute. Okay, 1 minute. Can you now see the slide?
Yes, yes. Now it is in.
Okay, the Cambridge Dictionary defines criticism as, okay. Can you please, sir?
Yes. Act of giving your opinion or judgment about the good or bad qualities of something or someone, especially books, films, etc.
Okay. Nowadays, we have been just listening on all these RJs are saying about that particular film is having this star or this star or this like this. So this is what Cambridge Dictionary says, that it is act of giving your opinion or judgment about the good or bad qualities of something or someone. Okay, especially when we talk about literature and films, so books and films, etc. Now, these are the other definition. So criticism is the art of estimating the qualities. These are the other definition. So whenever in literature or when in even in other subjects also, even in sociology and psychology, when we define something, then at the end of all these definition, we write our own idea, our own perception about what criticism is. So similarly, I have given here few definitions. So one is from Webster Dictionary. It defines criticism is the art of estimating the qualities and characters of literary or artistic work. Now, second is by Walter Pater. What he says, criticism is the art of interpreting art. It serves between the author and the reader by explaining the work. And Matthew Arnold, one of the greatest critics of this particular English literature, okay, of the what we say Victorian era, he says criticism is a disinterested endeavor to learn and propagate the best that is known and thought in the world. These are some of the definitions of criticism. So the idea about criticism is very clear to all of you. Now, this is a well.
Sir,
Change the slide, sir.
slide is not
Okay,
moving, sir.
yes. Okay.
Only
Sorry. Let me do one thing that each and every time I am not supposed to change, but here what happened something. 1 minute. Let me 1 minute. Yes, let me share. Okay, is it? Can you see the slide?
Yes.
Now,
Yes.
okay, it is a written. Is it clear to you? It is a written
Yes. Yes.
evaluation of a work of literature. Okay, the work or activity of making fair, careful judgments about the good and bad qualities of somebody or something, especially books, music, etc. Now, literaticism, it is the study, evaluation and interpretation of literature. अगर जनरल में हमको कुछ बोलना है कि साहित्यिक मीमांसा जिसको बोलते हैं, टीका बोलते हैं, हम तो संस्कृत स्टडीज करके आए हैं सब, तो जिसमें मीमांसा, विवेचन, टीका એ બધું જેને કહીએ છીએ, right? So that is literary criticism. It's a study, evaluation and interpretation of literature. So now, is it have you seen the change the slide?
No.
No.
Okay, then something is wrong, that every time I have to click back and go again to this slide. 1 minute. One minute. Hope you can see this slide, right?
Yes.
Huh. Dryden writes in his preface to The State of Innocence as criticism was first instituted by Aristotle and which mean to standard of judging well today. Can you tell me who is the father of English criticism? Who is considered as the father of Dryden? Dryden is considered as a father of English criticism. Okay, we are not supposed to learn about Dryden as a critic. Okay, so we will not be focusing on that Dryden as a critic. But for your interest, you can read about Dryden as well as Aristotle and Plato. आपने माइमेसिस और नकल क्या है वो इमिटेशन, राइट, उसके बारे में प्लेटो एंड एरिस्टोटल और उसके जो है चार्जेस जो लगाए थे, राइट, और इसके बाद सिडनी जो आया उसने लगाया कि जो चार्जेस है वो गलत है. तो दैट वी विल लर्न लेटर इन ब्रीफ ओनली, बट अवर टारगेट टू इज न्यू क्रिटिसिज्म, सो वी विल बी फोकसिंग मोर ऑन that only, but I will give you some historical background. So Aristotle, Plato, and then here comes Dryden. Okay, so the term literary criticism aims at the study of works of literature with the emphasis on their evaluation. So this is what about Dryden's idea about criticism, what he says. Okay. Okay, can you see this slide? A good critic.
Yes, sir.
ओके, नाउ सी, अगर आपको बोर हुए ऐसा लगता है या कुछ नया लगता है, मतलब इफ यू आर नॉट कंफर्टेबल प्लीज जस्ट टेल मी, वी विल बी डिस्कसिंग एज पर योर चॉइस एंड कन्वीनियंस एंड व्हाटएवर वी विश डिस्कस. हमने पहले वी हैव डिस्कस्ड वन थिंग ओवर हियर, दैट व्हाट इज क्रिटिसिज्म, राइट. नाउ द सेकंड थिंग इज व्हाट आर द क्वालिटीज ऑफ ए गुड क्रिटिक. जब हम क्रिटिसिज्म पढ़ते हैं, विवेचन, साहित्यिक विवेचन, मीमांसा की बात करते हैं, तब हमको ये भी पता होना चाहिए कि हर एक आदमी, राइट, ये पैसे हम बोलते हैं कि पहले मुर्गी आई या अंडा आया, राइट, जैसे वहां पे भी यहाँ पे भी बोल सकते हैं कि क्रिटिक का जन्म पहले हुआ या क्रिटिक क्रिएटिव राइटिंग, किसी ने क्रिएटिव राइटिंग लिखा है तब क्रिटिक का जन्म हुआ, या फिर क्रिटिक का जन्म होने के बाद क्रिएटिव राइटर का जन्म हुआ. तो यहाँ पे ऐसा बोलते हैं कि बोथ हैव कम साइमल्टेनियसली, right? There is nothing like a time gap or in between it. But a good critic should have the following qualities. उसमें क्या होना चाहिए? So he or she should be a well-read man. उसने बहुत ही अच्छा डिटेल्ड उसने पढ़ा लिखा होना चाहिए, because he is going to give opinion about any work or literature or any film or any kind of written document. So he should be a well-read man. Second is he should have or she should have knowledge of human life, right? Because basically we are talking about literature and literariness and what we say about that literary criticism. जब हम साहित्य की बात करते हैं तो what is literature? Just anyone, can anyone give me I then after completion of the session I will give you some books, suggest some books to read for this particularly knowledge about literature and all this. So अगर हम साहित्य की बात करते हैं तो साहित्य क्या है? तो लिटरेचर प्लीजेस यानी हमको मजा आता है, जब हम साहित्य पढ़ते हैं तो मजा आता है, राइट, प्लीजेस. देन इट टीचेस, वो हमको जिंदगी के बारे में टीचेस. एंड द लास्ट वन इज इट प्लीजेस, इट रीचेस, इट प्लीजेस एंड टीचेस. सो लास्ट में इट रीचेस टू अवर हार्ट, हमारे दिल में ऐसी असर करता है, राइट. हम साइकोलॉजी वाले मैडम यहाँ पे है. मैडम आपने परगेशन और कैथारसिस पढ़े हैं ना आप तो? हेलो, एम आई
Yes,
ऑडिबल?
sir. हाँ जी, हाँ
हाँ
जी, हाँ जी, हाँ जी, हाँ जी.
हाँ, साइकोलॉजी में आप कैथारसिस पढ़ चुके हैं, राइट, और
हाँ
परगेशन
जी.
ऑफ इमोशंस, राइट.
Right.
हाँ, तो जब हम कोई भी ट्रेजेडी पढ़ते हैं या कॉमेडी पढ़ते हैं या कभी फिल्म देखने जाते हैं, तो हमको लगता है कि नहीं, आप अगर हेमलेट की बात करें, जो शेक्सपियर का जो था ट्रेजेडी हेमलेट, उसमें भी एक आता है प्ले विद इन द प्ले. तो उसमें ऐसा होता है कि मुझे लगता है कि ये मेरे दिल को, मेरे जिंदगी को कहीं छूता है, राइट. तो एवरी क्रिटिक मस्ट हैव द नॉलेज ऑफ ह्यूमन लाइफ, then only he can criticize that whatever has been described in the literary piece, he or she should evaluate according to his knowledge of human life. Then the third quality of a critic is he or she should have command over the language. अगर आपके पास विवेचन करने के लिए शब्द नहीं है, भाषा नहीं है, right, if you don't have the command over the language, you cannot be a good critic. Then next one is biographical knowledge of the writer, right. कोई भी राइटर है, वो अपनी खुद की जो एज होती है, युग जो होता है उनका, उसके बारे में लिखते हैं. लिटरेचर इज द मिरर ऑफ सोसाइटी, साहित्य का एक दर्पण है, राइट. साहित्य का एक मिरर, साहित्य है वो अपने काल का एक मिरर, सोसाइटी अपने समाज का एक प्रतिबिंब है. तो जब साहित्य है वो समाज का प्रतिबिंब है, then every critic must have the knowledge of the life of the writer, under which circumstances he or she has written this particular piece of writing, creative writing, कैसे लिखा, कौन से समय में लिखा, right. That knowledge should be there with the critic. The next one is he should have sharp memory, and the last one is he or she should have creative experience. So we can conclude that a pen of a critic is more exact than the pencil of an artist. हम बोल सकते हैं कि आर्टिस्ट जो है, जिसने लिखी है कोई कृति, राइट, उसकी जो है पेंसिल उससे ज्यादा, राइट, मजबूत और इससे ज्यादा अच्छा वो कौन है, वो क्रिएटिव राइटर जो क्रिटिक है, उसकी पेन. ओके, नाउ okay, now little can you see this slide, literary criticism, historical perspectives?
Yes, sir.
So can you see this slide, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I have just mentioned literary criticism from historical perspective in very brief. यहाँ पे बहुत सारे क्रिटिक्स है जिनको हम इंक्लूड कर सकते हैं, लेकिन अपने जो अवर मेन एरिया is regarding new criticism, so I am not focusing more on this literary that is historical perspectives of literary criticism. There is one Plato, you might have heard about him also, that he has written the Republic, and then Aristotle's Poetics. Then in the later Greek and Roman criticism period, that is Greco-Roman period, we have Cicero, Horace and Quintilian. Then in the Middle Ages, criticism suffered from the loss of nearly all the ancient critical text. Then we may say that Middle Age is a dark age also, right? As there have not been written more what we say good literary pieces, so criticism also declined during this period. Then we have Renaissance criticism in the Elizabethan age, and in this particular age we have Sidney's defense of poesy is very interesting. Then we have neoclassical age in history of English literature. अगर अंग्रेजी साहित्य की बात करें तो उसमें मिडिल एज के बाद पहला जो है वो रेनेसांस है, जिसमें एलिजाबेथ एज जिसको बोला जाता है, और उसमें शेक्सपियर, राइट, और स्पेंसर और सिडनी जैसे काफी है राइटर्स. दैट रेनेसां पीरियड. Then comes neoclassical age, that is age of Dryden and Pope also. So here the British, one minute. Here the British critics John Dryden, Alexander Pope and Samuel Johnson, right? So these are the important writers of this, critics of this particular period. Can you see this next slide? Romanticism.
No, sir.
No.
No? Okay. Okay, 1 minute, please. I think something need to be done over here. Yes, because every
Yes,
time
sir.
I...
Now it's visible.
Okay, now it is visible. Na? Romanticism
Yes,
in
sir.
Yes, sir.
Germany,
Yes,
England,
sir. Yes, sir.
France, Italy, and the United States, because our topic is Western critical theory, right? Goethe and August and Friedrich von Schlegel in Germany, William Wordsworth and S.T. Coleridge in England. Can anyone tell me about the literary, what we said is particularly this critical works of S.T. Coleridge and William Wordsworth? You might have heard about the name one about William Wordsworth because Daffodils हमने पढ़ा होगा poem तब पता होगा तो एस टी कॉलेज एंड विलियम वर्ड्स दोनों ने मिलकर लिखा था लिरिकल बेलार्ड्स राइट दोनों का जॉइंट और एस टी कॉलेज था उसकी थी बायोग्राफिया लिटरेरिया ओके these two are considered to be very important works in criticism अगर साहित्यिक मीमांसा की बात करते हैं तो आप वर्ड्सवर्थ और कॉलेज दोनों ने लिखा हुआ लिरिकल बेलार्ड्स और एसटी कॉलेज की बायोग्राफी या लिटरेरिया जो है उसका नॉलेज आपको होना चाहिए राइट इन इंग्लैंड देन विक्टर ह्यूगो इन फ्रांस राल्फ वाल्डो एमर्सन एंड एडगर एलन पो in the United States. Now, let us discuss about the late 19th century criticism. What happened? That aestheticism characterized both the symbolist criticism. We will discuss all this later also of Charles Baudelaire in France and self-conscious decadence of the Algernon Swinburne, Walter Pater, and Oscar Wilde in England. So, 1 minute. This is what we may say about criticism. Okay, and last one is let me tell you about this. All is regarding can you see this slide, Arnold?
Yes.
ओके हम बात कर रहे हैं वो 19th सेंचुरी और मॉडर्न एज में जो डिफरेंट अप्रोचेस टू क्रिटिसिज्म थे उसमें आर्नोल्ड का बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट था ट्रेडिशन एंड इंडिविजुअल टैलेंट ओके then Walter Pater sorry I don't talk about tradition then Walter Pater about aesthetic and impressionistic criticism T.S. Eliot was also there and then religious classical and tragic criticism also his idea T.L. Hulme's idea were religious classical and tragic about all these writers we are coming to discuss in detail also then sociological criticism was there then expressionism surrealism psychological approach of I.A. Richards and textual criticism and then symbolic and archetypal criticism so these all are what we say various aspects of literary criticism now um, uh, we have discussed about till this time we have discussed about what is criticism right then qualification of a good critic and third is what historical perspective criticism from historical perspective okay now I would like to show you something that have you heard about sandhan anyone uh, no idea about it okay I'm going to share see this particular is a government of Gujarat initiative wherein you can though most of the lectures are delivered in Gujarati language especially of Gujarati and Sanskrit okay they are delivered in Gujarati language but lectures of English they are delivered in English only so as our course is what we say like kind of distance learning or online learning so we can uh, go through all these video lectures at home also. So, okay. Can you see this slide, Sandhan?
Yes.
Okay. Now, see here, video lectures. Can you see here this political science, English literature?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now see, this top point number 9 is Gujarati language. Then we have 21 that is Sanskrit. Okay, and it includes all the lectures of various subjects. Just me click on this English literature and then we will come to other subjects also. See here. Here you can see various topics. Okay, and if you click this particular topic, you can see video lectures, okay, of almost 45 to 50 minutes, around 1 hour, okay, of all these particular topics. Okay, see here it is mentioned about T.L.S. Eliot's poetry, appreciation of poetry, right? Then Shakespeare's Hamlet, literary form, short story, right? So we can see here that all these particular sessions are given. 1 minute, let me try one wherein we may find criticism, because there are very few lectures here on criticism. Yes,
Excuse me, sir.
yes, yes,
Sir, I have a question. May I? Or
yes,
shall
yes,
I?
yes, yes.
Sir, my actually, I've been attending these lectures on basically criticism. We
Ah,
had like one or two of these.
ah,
Sir, my question is uh, maybe in future we will read. So I just wanted to know
ah,
because when we read about the literature part of it, I am not able to relate it to our course, but it makes sense if we are reading about the philosophers in the terms of Western philosophy and Indian philosophy, then it makes sense according to our course, and it
ah,
is more relatable also. Because this to me seems more like a English literature thing
ah.
than something which is relatable to our course, where we are talking about the philosophies and how the Greek philosophy is in sync with our Indian philosophy, or what are the differences, or something like this.
Yes,
Maybe we'll read it later, I don't know, but I just wanted to know like how we relate these two, and why are we studying basically this.
yes, yes. Good, very good question. The thing is that as you are pursuing your studies on Hindu studies, that is the paper, that is our course is on Hindu studies, right? So when we think about whatever has been written, okay, about Hindu text and literature and darshan and philosophy and everything, okay, so we have to interpret it from the Western perspective also. So, what are see basically when you talk about literary criticism, साहित्यिक मीमांसा की जब बात करते हैं, तो we may think that to some extent the Western philosophical ideas, Western even the Western criticism is to some extent different, okay, or the perspective is different of looking it, but in general criticism remains the same. So whenever we talk about this, particularly this study of this critical tradition and Western philosophy, what the idea behind introducing this particular portion in your syllabus is, once you get acquaintance or get ideas about this Western philosophy, okay, and Western interpretation of text, okay, you can include it in interpreting our own Hindu texts and scriptures also, and even what we say writings. So that may be the basic idea. So once you get some idea about this Western philosophy and critical ideas interpretation, you may get idea about interpreting the text, particularly written in Sanskrit and within India. So that may be the idea. What I think that is my perception about studying criticism at this particular MA level. I hope I have tried my best to answer you.
Ji sir, thank you so much.
Okay. Okay. So this is regarding the video lectures of this particular subject, English. Now, just I would like to show you other subject over here, just for a minute. If you can read Gujarati script, okay, Gujarati language अगर आप पढ़ सकते हो, तो यहाँ पे आपको पता चलेगा this topic list of video lectures with Samvada Sukta and Tattva Jnana Suktas, right? Then Ish, can you see this slide? Ish and Can Upanishad.
No.
Okay.
It is on top.
Uh, Topic list of video lectures. Can you see this? No.
Topic list is there.
Yes. Ved, that Ish and Can Upanishad, is
Yes,
it?
yes. Second number.
Yes. Then Brahma Sutra, Chatur Sutri. See,
Yes,
all
yes.
these topics. आप लोग जो पढ़ चुके हो, right? Kathopanishad. There are so many topics about Veda, right? Then Virat Parva, Chandas, Panch Mahakavya. There are so many topics. Okay, Sanskrit and computer, right? Then so these, but the only thing is that all these sessions, all these lectures, Bhasha Vigyan, right? Then Niti Shastra, Niti Shatakam, Raghuvansham, Kavya Prakasha, right? So all these topics are, the only thing is they are delivered in Gujarati language. But अगर आपको ज्ञान acquire करना है, Kane and Isha Upanishad, right? So you can go through this material and you can have idea about it. Similarly, I would like to just show you about the Gujarati language also, so that we can have Gujarati language over here. यस, अगर गुजराती लैंग्वेज की आप बात करें तो देखो यहाँ पे रस निष्पत्ति है, देख सकते हो ना आप, स्लाइड इज,
जी सर।
हेलो, हाँ, रीति काल, केशव बिहारी एंड घनानंद, राइट? देन टेक्स्ट इन हिंदी लैंग्वेज, दिस इज प्रेमचंद, दिस इज गुजराती लैंग्वेज जो है, राइट? इसमें यहाँ पे आप देखो अलंकार, राइट? काव्यनो आस्वाद, एप्रिसिएशन ऑफ ए पोएट्री, राइट? देन गुजराती साहित्य, साहित्य देखो यहाँ पे विवेचन, दैट इज क्रिटिसिज्म, राइट? फॉर्म एंड विभावना कंसेप्ट. कैन यू सी दिस 59 टॉपिक?
Yes, yes.
Okay, then विवेचन ની રીતો, right? There are so many topics. देखो भरत मुनि ની रस मीमांसा, रस थियरी ऑफ भरत मुनि. ओके, सो जस्ट आप इसको क्लिक करके देखना, मैं आपको इसका लिंक जो है वो शेयर करूंगा. तो आपको जो भी देखो, मध्यकालीन, अर्वाचीन, राइट? सो दे सुधारक युग, नर्मद युग, पंडित युग, गांधी युग. Okay, and they have even given idea about Chanda Parichaya and Dhvani. So apart from us, these particular video lectures are useful to the students who are preparing for competitive examination, and Gujarati is one of the languages for this particular examination also. तो यहाँ पे आप देख सकते हो कि कितना टॉपिक है, राइट? देन साहित्य विवेचन, इसके ऊपर भी बहुत सारा है, काव्य और रसस्वाद. ओके, देयर आर सो मेनी टॉपिक्स दैट वी कैन फोकस ऑन. इवन दे हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट विराम चिन्ह, राइट? दिस जोड़नी शुद्धि, राइट? स्पेलिंग, एंड टी.एस. एलियट के बारे में भी यहाँ पे लेक्चर्स दिए हुए हैं. Okay, so this is all regarding this Sandhan Bisect. You can see here, this, the link is sandhan.kcgjournal.org, right? So from this you can see the various sessions delivered by expert. Okay, now I would like to focus on the main particular topic of today, that is new criticism. And as madam has already asked that what is new criticism and what are the qualities of it. So 1 minute. One minute. Many of you are PhD, that is, have already completed your PhD degree, right? So are you ever about Shodh Ganga? Hello?
हाँ.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is the
वो टीवी पर कार्यक्रम
Shod Ganga gives the details about all the research papers and all. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Just I am sharing you one research done by one person over here. Okay. Can you see this? Shodh Ganga is a reservoir of thesis, right? PhD thesis. यहाँ पे, sorry. You can see here that what is the title of the thesis? Can anyone read? The new
The new
criticism with the special reference to the critical theory of John Crow, Ransom, and Alan Tate.
Okay, now see, thank you, sir. So here we can see this particular thesis written by whom, that is who was the research scholar and who was his guide, and when was it published, and the name of the university, okay, and when it was awarded degree of PhD. So here, actually this particular thesis was submitted in 1980, okay, almost 43 years back. So it is typed in a, what we say, with the typewriter that we had earlier in before 10 years, 15 years. So यहाँ पे जो है तो introductory part दिया है. I am just sharing this particular site, this particular link to you just to know about what is criticism, okay, और new criticism के बारे में आपका जो ख्याल है, आपको जो ideas है, right? Just I would like to make it clear for you. So I have shared it here. Now 1 minute. Okay. Yes. Now I am sharing some material that we can say ready reckoner for you. That will be one minute. Yes, it is there. Okay. Can you see this slide? New criticism. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now, what we may say that this is particularly Dedi Reckner or material study material from examination point of view, and I'm going to share this material for you. That is the topic of today. That is new criticism. Okay, its basic principles and meaning and nature of new criticism and its significance. Okay, so this is one material that I have shared with you. So the term new criticism was first used by J.E. Springram for the critics of this school differ radically from the earlier critics in a number of ways. सबसे पहली बात ये है कि जो न्यू क्रिटिसिज्म के जो क्रिटिक्स है, राइट, दे वेर डिफरेंट फ्रॉम द अर्लियर क्रिटिक्स. सो basically, how did they differ? The new critics are opposed to the biographical, historical, sociological and comparative approach of conventional criticism. अभी जो मैडम ने जो सवाल उठाया था कि why should we bother about or why should we study this Western tradition? Okay, because the aim, the what is our goal? मैडम आपको पता भी होगा कि जब स्वामी विवेकानंद गए थे धर्म परिषद में, राइट ना, शिकागो में 1893 में, तो उन्होंने व्हाट डिड ही से, उन्होंने जो बताया था कि हमारी जो फिलोसॉफी में है, जो इंडियन जो लिटरेचर एंड फिलोसॉफी और रिलीजन जो है, राइट, उसमें जो लिखा हुआ है, इट इज देयर, that is what we say outcome or everything that has been mentioned in any other religion, you may find it is in Hinduism also. So similarly, these approaches, various approaches like biographical approaches, historical approach, sociological approach and comparative approach of literary studies, right, criticism, okay, new critics have opposed it. Similarly, they reject the traditional division of literature into periods and groups for purpose of criticism. यहाँ पे I would like to inform you that usually how do we interpret literature? जब हम शेक्सपियर के कालीन साहित्य की बात करते हैं, रेनेसा पीरियड की बात करते हैं, या फिर वर्ड्सवर्थ, शेली, बायरन, किट्स, उसके पीरियड की बात करते हैं, तो हम क्या सोचते हैं कि पर्टिकुलर पीरियड there is a particular style of writing, particular tradition to be followed, by the particular writer of that particular age. So here the new critics, what did they do? They reject the traditional division of literature into periods and groups for the purpose of criticism. So we can write, see, for new criticism, you would like, if you would like to mention the points, you can write down. The first one is, that is, it is opposite to biographical, historical, sociological, or comparative approach. Second thing is, they have rejected the tradition of dividing literature into various groups and periods and then interpreting it from the critical point of view. All such considerations are regarded as extrinsic and irrelevant, and a work of art is judged solely by its own merits. उन्होंने क्या बताया कि अभी हमने टॉपिक टॉपिक के टाइटल में ही लिखा है कि न्यू क्रिटिसिज्म, दैट इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ not form and literariness of the writing. So these particular writers, these critics have, okay, regarded that a work of art is to be judged by its own merits. Their criticism is intrinsic or ontological, that is related to text and not extrinsic. Okay. Now, one more thing that I would like to tell you is, yeah, is there any text in our syllabus that we are going to study and then we are going to criticize? No. We are going to write a critical review about it? No. Okay. But we are going to study this criticism and then we will try to correlate it, right? We will try to correlate this Western theory of criticizing or criticism. Okay. मीमांसानी जे पश्चिमी विचारसरणी છે, right? We would like to correlate it with our Oriental or our Indian tradition, Hindu tradition. So a poem or a piece of literature is the thing in itself and with a definite entity of its own, separate both from the poet and the socio-cultural milieu in which it is produced. The emphasis is laid on the study of the text and its word by word analysis and interpretation. यहाँ पे later on, if possible, in the succeeding lecture, I will show you some ideas, some literary piece of work and how they have been interpreted, suppose from any particular approach. Okay, that we will study as a case study, or I will post here just to, as madam has suggested. So I will post it just for your knowledge that how this particular work of art or this piece of work is interpreted in a particular theory from particular point of view. So the emphasis is laid on the study of the text and its word by word analysis and interpretation. शब्दशः उसका जो है पृथक्करण एनालिसिस करने का और उसका इंटरप्रिटेशन करने का, that was the emphasized by new critics, and they have not followed, they have rejected that any piece of work it should be considered from a particular page, a particular period or age. The music of a poem, its imagery and versification, its total structure are taken into account to arrive at its meaning. Words must be studied with reference to their sound and their emotional and symbolic significance. अभी आपको ऐसा लगेगा कि सर ये जो म्यूजिक ऑफ द पोएम लिखा है and then words must be studied with reference to their sound and their emotional and symbolic significance. Okay, that may be very crucial because we are not, suppose many of us have not studied literature in general. Okay, so we will come to that point of art of interpretation and analysis of a piece of work. At present we are discussing the salient features or characteristics of new criticism and how it differs from the earlier tradition. अगले जो परंपरा थी उससे ये क्रिटिसिज्म कैसे डिफर हुआ, कैसे अलग हुआ, और जो हम मॉडर्न अभी जो आधुनिक जो बोलते हैं, आधुनिक काल जो है उसका जो विवेचन का सिद्धांत है वो पुराने सिद्धांतों से कैसे अलग हो रहा है, that we are discussing. New criticism is predominantly textual and the new critics have rendered valuable service to literature by their study and interpretation of literary classics. Okay, अभी यहाँ पे basic doctrines and principles of new criticism may be summarized as follows. Now, whatever we are discussing now may be important from examination point of view also, that in your examination, there is one point number 3 of unit number 1 is regarding new criticism. So we are discussing about the various doctrines and principles of new criticism. The first one is to the new critics. Would anyone would like to read, please?
This paragraph?
Yes, A, paragraph number 8 on the last paragraph of page 180.
Acha. To the new critics, a poem or work of art is the thing in itself, and the critic must concentrate all attention on it and illustrate it. The function of the critic is to analyze, interpret, and evaluate a work of art. A poem is distinct from the poet and his social milieu. It is definite entity in itself and must be studied as such. The critic must devote himself to close textual study, unhampered by any extraneous concerns.
Very good, sir. So what this particular new critics believe that don't consider it, okay, from any kind of social milieu or any kind of that is what we say ideas about the poet, okay, what is there about his psychological thinking about that. But we have to, and a critic has to devote himself to the close textual study. So just in one line you can write down the what we say the summary of this particular first characteristics of new criticism is close textual study, okay, of any piece of work or any piece of art, okay. That is what this particularly new critics believe, okay. And what the
Right,
principle.
sir. Uh,
Yes, sir.
in the first lecture, it was told the study of Western discourses. It was told that the philosophy of the Western writers and literatures and critics, they were saying that for to know the poem, you must know the poet. Now
Yes.
it is exact contradictory. They never consider about poet, consider the content only.
Yes, sir. You are absolutely right. That is what this particularly how these new critics, right? They differ from the previous, that is their predecessors. जो आगे जो हो गए थे, right? तो historical past जब हम tradition and individual talent की बात करते हैं, right? T.S. Eliot की बात करते हैं,
Yes.
right? तो हमको लगता है कि नहीं, how this particular new critics they differ, right? That is why we have some other, as I have mentioned in my slide also, that we will study about various other, is there any text in the class, right, that we will discuss. And we will also discuss about Marxism, and we will also discuss about Derrida, okay. Agar usko padhna hai to what very difficult hai, that is very interesting topic also. But as you said that particularly these particular critics, new critics, they differ from their predecessors. And whatever, actually, particularly if someone ask me, okay, I may suggest that what is there in the writer's mind, जो लेखक जो होता है, जो पोएट जो होता है, उसके दिमाग में उसकी जो बायोग्राफी है, राइट, उसका जो जीवन है, क्योंकि my perception of life may differ from your perception of life. So critic must consider this particularly about the past and the present, okay, and the tradition and his own individual talent. But here for the new critics, they have demanded, or what they have focused on textual study without any extraneous concerns. So this we have to keep in mind that in this particular aspect, the new critics, okay, are different from their predecessors, and even we may say even from the Oriental or the writers from the East. Now the second point, okay, would anyone would like to read this second B, moral?
Yes.
Yes. सर आप सब लोगों को रिक्वेस्ट है कि डोंट गेट कंफ्यूज्ड अबाउट interpreting a piece of work, okay, from any perspective. At present we are focusing on the ideas and the critical theories of the writers of what we say the modern age or even the 20th century criticism. उसमें क्या हुआ उसकी हम बात कर रहे हैं, right? Then we will correlate it, right, later on, okay, in this succeeding, that is हमारे अगर syllabus में देखें हम तो बाकी के जो यूनिट्स है, राइट, इसी यूनिट नंबर आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट यूनिट नंबर 2, that is Western methods for understanding discourses. अभी आपको बताया उसमें फर्स्ट टॉपिक है मार्क्सिज्म एंड क्रिटिकल थियरी, राइट? देन रोल ऑफ क्लास इकोनॉमिक्स, देन there is structuralism and post structuralism, right? डेरिडा भी है आपको पढ़ने में, राइट? तो जब आप इन सबको पढ़ोगे तो आपको लगेगा कि ये वेस्टर्न डिस्कोर्स जो है उसमें हमारे जो फिलोसॉफी है, राइट, उसको हम कहाँ पे कोरिलेट कर सकते हैं. देयर इज अ साइकोलॉजिकल अप्रोच आल्सो, ओके, एंड देन रिडक्शनिज्म इज आल्सो देयर. सो अगर मॉडर्न वेस्टर्न जो थियरीज जो है और उसमें भी जो वेस्टर्न थियरी of the 20th century or what we say modern age may be little bit challenging and different from what we have been practicing. Now please read the second B, characteristics B.
Yes, moral and religious considerations, social, political, and environmental conditions. The details of the poet's biography are all irrelevant and are so many obstacles in the way of a real understanding of a work of literature. The literary critic must rid himself of all such extrinsic bias and prejudice. He must approach the work with an open mind, ready to study it as it is in itself.
Okay, sir. लगता है कि दिस इज वेरी चैलेंजिंग एंड डिफरेंट एंड व्हाट वी से जोर मतलब जैसे बोलते हैं कि बहुत ही बड़ा एक डाइवर्जन है, राइट? मॉरल एंड रिलीजियस कंसिडरेशन, सोशल एंड ऑल दिस कंडीशंस, ओके, इवन पोएट्स बायोग्राफी आर इररिलेवेंट. See, this is the opinion of the new critics, okay? We may agree, we may partially agree, or we may not at all agree with whatever their approach is to literary criticism, okay? और यहाँ पे भी आपको पता चलेगा बाद में कि जो फॉर्मलिज्म की बात हम करने वाले हैं, राइट? और जो various structuralism, Marxism, right? All these critical theories, they may have what we say little bit a difference in them of interpreting an art. So the second characteristic features of new criticism is what we say, he must approach the work with an open mind, ready to study it as it is in itself, okay, without considering social or political environmental condition. So this was the second basic principles or characteristic feature of new criticism. Now third one is, anyone would like to read? Anyone? C.
The critic must not allow himself to be hampered and prejudiced by any literary theories also.
आपका हैंग हो गया सर.
Hello.
हाँ सर.
Hello. Yes, please. Anything?
हाँ, राजेश जी ने पढ़ा सर, लेकिन आपका हैंग हो गया था शायद.
Okay. Sorry.
सी क्लॉज
Okay.
इन्होंने पढ़ा.
Okay. Thank you. Now, D. May I start with D? Is
Yes,
it?
yes.
You can. I think you can see the slide.
Yes.
A poem has both form and content, and both should be closely studied and analyzed before a true understanding of its meaning becomes possible. Right? फोर काइंड्स ऑफ मीनिंग इसके बाद में हम पढ़ेंगे जब न्यू क्रिटिसिज्म इतना वास्ट एरिया है कि उसको मतलब हजम करना बहुत ही मुश्किल है कि वी कैन नॉट जस्ट रिकलेक्ट इट इन अ वेरी फ्यू लेक्चर्स और जस्ट इन अ हाफ एन आवर lecture. But here poem has a form as well as content, and both should be closely studied and analyzed before a true understanding of its meaning becomes possible. फोर काइंड्स ऑफ मीनिंग्स की बात हम जब करेंगे तब ये आएगा, this understanding of its meaning become possible. Now anyone would like to read point number E?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Words, images, rhythm, meter, etc. constitute the form of poetry and are to be closely studied. A poem is an organic whole, and these different parts are interconnected, and these interconnections, the reaction of one upon the other and upon the total, meaning. The reaction of one upon the other and upon the total meaning is to be closely followed and examined. That is why a prose paraphrase cannot convey the total and poetic meaning of a poem.
Okay, this last sentence, okay, tells us everything. That if I read, okay, a paraphrase of a poem, right, that is written in a prose form, a poem converted, that is a paraphrase of a poem converted into prose form, cannot convey the total meaning. जो rhythm होती है, जो images है, जो meters, metrical composition है, that constitute the poetry, and these all features are required to be closely examined and studied by a critic. Okay, so this is another aspect of new criticism, that poem is an organic whole and different parts of poems are interconnected and they are to be considered while examining a poem. Okay, now point number F. Anyone would like to read?
The study of words, their arrangement, the way in which they act and react on each other is important. Words, besides their literal significance, also have emotional, associative, and symbolic significance, and only close applications and analysis can bring out their total meaning.
Okay, so what this feature says that uh, arrangement of words in any creative writing, okay, the way in which they act and react on each other is equally important. And words have literal meaning, okay, and apart from that, they have emotional, associative, and symbolic meaning and significance. So one must analyze and study closely the total meaning of these words mentioned in any creative writing. Now, the next one is poetry is a communication and language is the means of communication. राइट, पोएट्री है वो कुछ कम्युनिकेट करती है और उसके लिए भाषा का हम प्रयोग करते हैं. सो द न्यू क्रिटिक्स सीक टू अंडरस्टैंड द फुल मीनिंग ऑफ ए पोएम थ्रू ए स्टडी ऑफ पोएटिक लैंग्वेज. सो 1 minute. So what did they say? That a poetry is to be studied. Okay, so poem is to, new critics seek to understand the full meaning of a poem through a study of poetic language. Now, the next one is the new critics are opposed to both the historical and comparative methods of criticism. अभी जो हमने बात की आगे कि जो पुरानी जो मेथड्स है उसमें हिस्टोरिकल मेथड एंड कंपैरेटिव मेथड. हिस्टोरिकल मेथड की बात हमने बताई थी कि कोई एज और कोई टाइम पीरियड, right, or way of writing when we talk about neoclassical age, right, and even we talk about various satires written by writers, okay, like Jonathan Swift, okay. तो उनके जो satirical writing थी कटाक्षमा लगता था, व्यंगमा लगता था, तो what was the reason behind it, right? So this particularly new critics, they have opposed even the historical and comparative methods of criticism. Historical considerations are extraneous to the work of literature, and comparison of works of the art is to be resorted to with great caution and in rare instances alone, for the intent and aim of the writers differ. And so their methods, their techniques, their forms are bound to be different. So these new critics have opposed historical and comparative methods of criticism. That is what this particular paragraph H says. Okay, कंपैरिजन करके या फिर हिस्टोरिकल अप्रोच से स्टडी करने का नहीं है. दैट इज व्हाट न्यू क्रिटिक्स बिलीव. नाउ this must be clear in your mind that whatever the particularly critical theories and new ideas that new critics have brought forward may not be followed by their successors also. क्योंकि आज मैं बोलता हूं कि हिस्टोरिकल और कंपैरेटिव मेथड यूज नहीं करना चाहिए, राइट, but there may be some other critics who have opposed this particular ideas of the new critics. Now point number I, that who would like to read point number I?
The new critics are also anti-impressionistic Instead of giving merely his impressions, which are bound to be vague and subjective, the critic must make a close, objective, and precise study of the poem concerned.
ओके सर, जब हम सब्जेक्टिव की बात करते हैं, राइट, और ऑब्जेक्टिव इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ एनी टेक्स्ट, सो दिस पर्टिकुलरली न्यू क्रिटिक्स दे हैव फोकस्ड एंड emphasize on close, objective, and precise study of any work of art. And last that I would like to read is, in short, they concentrate on close textual study. Dear all participant friends, whenever there is a question, okay, अगर आपके एग्जाम में डिटेल्ड क्वेश्चन आता है कि डिस्कस वेरियस फीचर्स ऑफ न्यू क्रिटिसिज्म, देन यू कैन इलेबोरेट दिस A to J features, okay, the in your answer. So they concentrate on close textual study, on the study of the form, design, and texture of poetry, the psychological state of the poet at the time of creation, as well as the effect of the poem upon the readers, are not allowed to divert attention from the text. आप लास्ट लाइन जो है वो पढ़ोगे तो लगेगा कि नहीं नहीं नहीं, मैं तो उससे मानता नहीं हूं। जो न्यू क्रिटिक्स जो बोलते हैं कि साइकोलॉजिकल स्टेट ऑफ द पोएम at the time of creation, right, must not be considered, right, and it is not to be allowed to divert the attention from the text. This is what the new critics believe, okay. So here these are the salient features of new criticism, okay, and new critics. Now as we have studied new criticism, we have to study about its limitation. Can you see this second chapter over here, new criticism, its limitation?
Yes, sir.
જુઓ, કોઈ વ્યક્તિ કંઈક કરે ને તો એના પર કંઈ એટેક, હુમલો, અહીંયા એટલે હુમલો એટલે કેવો શાબ્દિક હુમલો, રાઈટ. So the Chicago critics, their attack on new criticism. मैंने बोला ना, कोई भी लिखेगा कि कोई ऐसा बोलेगा कि इस तरह से लिखना चाहिए, इस तरह से विवेचन करना चाहिए, तो कोई उसका अपोज करेगा. तो the limitations of the new critics were pinpointed by a group of critics who have come to be known as the Chicago critics. They are called Chicago critics because they all worked at this University of Chicago, and they form a homogeneous group with little difference in their views and critical methods. So the limitations and shortcomings of the new critics may be summed up as follows according to the Chicago critics. Please, anyone would like to read point number 1? Anyone?
Yes.
Yes, please, point number 1.
New critics are too much preoccupied with textual analysis. Their excessive preoccupation with words, images, paradox, irony, etc. makes them forget that the poem is an organic whole. In their preoccupation with the parts, they ignore the beauty of the whole.
Okay. देखो, पहला क्या है? Their excessive preoccupation with words, images, and paradox, irony, etc. make them forget that the poem is an organic whole, and their preoccupation with the parts, as they have focused on textual analysis, they ignored the beauty of the whole. This is what the Chicago critics have criticized the new critics. Now the second one is,
अच्छा sir, exactly beauty of the whole, मतलब what they mean to say? Beauty of the whole.
Holistic.
Is that meaning a holistic approach?
suggested that everyone has to examine, right, that particular piece of writing from textual analysis. So when they preoccupied themselves too much with this textual analysis, they have forgot about the organic beauty, right. In whole the poem is very beautiful, but they have focused more on words, योग्य शब्द के प्रयोग किए हैं कि नहीं है, उसमें मीटर का यूज किया है कि नहीं किया है, राइट, उसमें कंपोजिशन ठीक तरह से है कि नहीं, उसमें लैंग्वेज प्रॉपर है कि नहीं. व्हेन दे फोकस्ड ऑन दिस, दे हैव इग्नोर or they have what we say not considered the beauty of the whole piece of writing. It may be possible that in a particular piece of writing there may not be very much imagery, right, or maybe metrical composition may not be proper, but if you consider the whole piece of work in general, it may have beauty, राइट। कभी ऐसा भी होता है कि हम कहीं ऐसी कविताएं हैं जो अछांदस होती है, जिसमें छंद नहीं होता है,
Yes,
राइट।
yes,
इसको हम ब्लैंक वर्स भी बोल सकते हैं। तो लेकिन उसकी खुद की ब्यूटी होती है, विच कन्वेज मीनिंग टू अस, इट टचेस अस। वो हमको टच कर जाती है कि नहीं नहीं, हमको बहुत अच्छा लगा ये पढ़ के, हम बार बार गुनगुनाते हैं उसको, राइट। तो दैट इज व्हाट शिकागो क्रिटिक्स हैव criticized about the limitations or shortcomings of the new critics, that they have, these new critics have preoccupied in textual analysis, and when they focused on textual analysis they have ignored the beauty of the whole piece of writing or work.
right.
Okay, now
Sir, how is that keep somebody is uh, focusing on individual of words and their places,
uh,
but not but is still unable to look at the complete results?
hmm.
How is that possible?
Okay, sir. Just let me give one example. When we talk about this, just take a simple poem, Daffodils, written by Wordsworth, right? When we talk about daffodils, sorry, this being the first lecture, and I'm also for the this particular topic assigned to me is new criticism. But now, in the succeeding lecture, I would like to correlate, as one or two learners have emphasized and told me that how do we correlate it. So in the succeeding lecture I will try to correlate. तो यहाँ पे अगर हम सिर्फ वर्ड्सवर्थ की डेफोडिल्स पोएम की बात करें, राइट, और या फिर रोड नॉट टेकन आप पढ़े हो, या फिर रॉबर्ट फ्रॉस्ट की पोएम जो है
Yes, sir.
स्टॉपिंग बाय वुड्स ऑन ए स्नोई इवनिंग, पढ़े हो ना आप?
Yes, sir. All the three I have read.
यस। तो देखो, रोड नॉट टेकन की बात करो, या फिर स्टॉपिंग बाय वुड्स ऑन ए स्नो इवनिंग, उसमें है कि द वुड्स आर लवली डार्क एंड डीप, बट आई हैव प्रोमिसेस टू कीप, राइट, एंड माइल्स टू गो बिफोर आई स्लीप, राइट। सो व्हेन वी टॉक अबाउट दिस, अगर ये पोएम का अगर आप टेक्सचुअल एनालिसिस ही करो कि इसमें यहाँ पे मैट्रिकल कंपोजिशन ठीक है, यहाँ पे उसने ये वर्ड की जगह ये वर्ड होना चाहिए, राइट, या फिर यहाँ पे उसने शार्प, दैट इज कॉन्ट्रास्ट फ्रॉम द प्रीवियस टॉक। आपने सोनेट पढ़े हो ना, सोनेट फॉर्म, सोनेट एज अ
Yes,
फॉर्म
sir.
ऑफ लिटरेचर, राइट। तो
Yes,
सोनेट
sir.
जो फॉर्म होता है, राइट, उसमें भी ऐसा होता है कि इन द लास्ट टू लाइंस देयर इज अ वर्बल मैजिक। ओके, कुछ ऐसा मैजिक होता है कि जो प्रीवियस जो आपने पढ़ा था उसमें कुछ नया लगता है। अगर आप ओ हेनरी की, सपोज, चलो थिंक अबाउट प्रोज वर्क, आप ओ हेनरी की लास्ट लीफ और ये सब पढ़ा है आपने?
Yes, sir.
हाँ, तो उसमें क्या होता है कि अगर आप एनालिसिस उसका करते जाओ कि कौन कहाँ पे उसने कौन सा शब्द का यूज किया है, उसने कैरेक्टराइजेशन बरोबर किया है कि नहीं किया है, उसने जो अगर पोएट्री है तो मैट्रिकल कंपोजिशन ठीक तरह से है कि नहीं है, राइट, इमेजरी यूज की है कि नहीं की है। तो व्हेन यू आर टू मच ऑक्यूपाइड विद दिस, you may forget that what the intention of the poet, right? That is, here also I would like to add one more thing, that you when you focus only on textual analysis, ema vaprata shabdo, the words used in a particular piece of work, when you are going to evaluate them only, right, you may forget, जब आप उसको उसके कंपोजिशन के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से आप उसको इंटरप्रेट करोगे, तो आप ये भूल जाओगे, you may forget or you may not focus on what is the beauty of any creative writing, right, what is the intention of the poet, or what message does it convey, okay, or how it touches your heart, right, that is the organic beauty of the whole piece of writing.
So
So
that is equivalent to saying that that criticism is just for the sake of criticism, nothing else.
yes, yes, I agree partially here over whatever you say, that when you analyze any piece of writing from textual analysis, you may forget about the other beauties and other features of this, right? हाँ, हम ornament अगर पहनते हैं and we focus on only on the qualities of the environment, or sorry, ornament, okay, we may forget about the other characteristic feature of any person, राइट। अगर किसी पर्सन को आप उसके मटेरियलिस्टिक जो आइडियाज है, और या फिर उसकी जो है गेम, अगर आप उसके पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से देखोगे, तो उसमें रही हुई बाकी सब जो क्वालिटीज है वो यू कैन नॉट एग्जामिन और यू कैन नॉट इवेल्युएट. So this is what the new critics have. That is what we say negative point about their interpretation of any creative piece of writing. Okay. Now I hope I have clarified your doubts. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Now, anyone would like to read second point? Just we are going to complete this limitations of new critics. Okay, then we will conclude the session of today. So, second point is there. I would like to discuss about the formalism also, Russian formalism. The material is ready.
So this approach is dogmatic and narrow. According to them, it is through textual study and analysis alone that truth can be arrived at. However, there are a number of other approaches, the historical, the sociological, the psychological, etc., and each has its own value and significance. All possible ways should be tried to arrive at full truth about a poem.
Okay, I hope all you all learned scholars will agree this point. आप सहमत हो जाते हो ना कि
Yes, yes.
हाँ कि only through close study of text and analysis truth can be arrived at? No, right? There are number of other approaches, historical, sociological, psychological. Okay, आपने stream of consciousness के बारे में पढ़ा होगा या सुना होगा, stream of consciousness, right? So we will be discussing about all psychoanalytical approaches to literature कि साइकोलॉजी जो है, राइट, मन के अंदर दिमाग के अंदर जो बात घूमती है, राइट, अगर हम शेक्सपियर की हेमलेट की बात करें तो उसके मन में हैमरशिया की बात करते हैं, राइट, प्रोक्रेस्टिनेशन, वो डिले करता है, उसको रिवेंज लेना है, राइट, पापा के खून जो किया है, पापा का खून, चाचा ने जो खून किया है उसके चाचा ने, और फिर उसकी माँ जो है, राइट, हिज मदर हैज मैरिड टू हिज अंकल जस्ट विद इन 3 months फ्रॉम आफ्टर द डेथ ऑफ हर हस्बैंड. तो हेमलेट वाज इन डायलेमा, ही वो कंफ्यूज था कि टू बी और नॉट टू बी, दैट इज द मेन प्रॉब्लम जो हम बोलते हैं ना, राइट. और एट द सेम टाइम इन द सॉलिलोक्वी, वन ऑफ द सॉलिलोक्वीज ही सेज जस्ट रॉयल्टी दाय नेम इज वुमन, और वो क्या बोलता है कि मैन में स्माइल एंड बी ए विलन. अगर आप शेक्सपियर के जो हेमलेट है उसका इंटरप्रिटेशन ओनली फ्रॉम टेक्सचुअल एनालिसिस करके करो, और उसमें अगर आप साइकोलॉजिकल जो कन्फ्लिक्ट है मन के अंदर, कन्फ्लिक्ट दो तरह का होता है, एक हमारे इंटरनल कन्फ्लिक्ट एंड सेकंड इज एक्सटर्नल कन्फ्लिक्ट, राइट. हम उसकी कोरिलेशन कई मूवीज में देखते हैं कि एक तरफ बाहर बारिश आई होती है, राइट, आंधी होती है, और एक तरफ अंदर किसी के दिमाग में युद्ध चलता है कि किसी के खिलाफ लव, मे बी मैटर ऑफ लव और मे बी मैटर ऑफ इकोनॉमिक एनी इश्यूज और लाइक दैट, सोशल इश्यूज दैट मे बी इन द स्टोरी. So psychological approach is required to be considered in mind. That is what this Chicago critic says about the limitations of or shortcomings of the new critics. Okay, so I think topic number 2 is very clear to you. Point number 2. Now, anyone would like to see read point number 3, please?
A work of art has two functions, aesthetic and moral. While the older criticism erred in its overemphasis on the moral concern of literature, the new critics go to the other extreme in their total neglect of it. Art cannot be divorced entirely from life.
Okay, I hope you are very much clear with this point also. Is it clear to you, all
Yes.
participants, please?
Yes,
हाँ
yes.
हाँ, आर्ट कड़ा ने जिंदगी थी, आर्ट फॉर आर्ट सेक, आर्ट फॉर लाइफ सेक, आपने सुना होगा, आर्ट फॉर आर्ट सेक, राइट. That is what the romantics believed, and what Matthew Arnold said, that art for life's sake, right. કળાને તમે જીવનથી અલગ કરી શકો નહીં. You cannot divorce this art from life.
Life.
Okay, so this, the older criticism, the earlier criticism was it was wrong, right, in its overemphasis on the moral concern of literature, whereas the new critics, right, they have totally neglected the moral concern of literature. Okay, so that was their fault. Okay, now point number 4, please. Anyone, please?
Yes, in their insistence on the objective and scientific study of a work of art, they entirely ignore the rejections of the critic. The subjective element cannot be totally done away with, and the impressions of the critic have their own significance.
Very good. सर आपने अभी हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं जो राइट, उसमें ऐसा हो सकता है कि देयर में बी सब्जेक्टिव एलिमेंट, राइट, स्वलक्षी जने कही शकाय, राइट, कि माय इंटरप्रिटेशन ऑफ एक मूवी देख के हम बाहर आते हैं तो घर के 3-4 सदस्य भी एक यूनिफॉर्म उसका क्या बोलते हैं इंटरप्रिटेशन या इसका इवैल्यूएशन नहीं कर पाते, राइट. सो व्हाट दिस न्यू क्रिटिक्स दे फेल्ड, okay, in the subjective element of a critic himself or herself, right, and the impressions of the critic have their own significance. So the new critics have emphasized on objective and scientific study of any piece of work, but there should be subjective element of a critic which must not be done away with, totally cannot be, it cannot be done away with. So this was the what we say limitations of new criticism. Now the fifth one is, as T.S. Eliot has pointed out, the textual analysis can establish only the literary quality of a work. To determine its greatness, other methods are also necessary. Literature is certainly an art form, but it has other values also besides literary. Okay, that is what, as according to Eliot, okay, textual analysis can establish only the literary quality of a work. Okay, but apart from that, as mentioned earlier, that some other features as a whole, psychological implications, subjective element, all are to be considered, okay, while interpreting a piece of work. Now the next one is, the textual approach may work well with some genres, but it is not always equally effective. आप उसको टेक्सचुअल अप्रोच है उसको आप सपोज कोई प्रोज के लिए, कोई ऐसे के लिए, राइट, या फिर कोई डायरीज लिखता है तो उसके लिए आप ले सकते हो, बट देर आर डिफरेंट काइंड्स ऑफ पोएट्री एंड डिफरेंट क्रिटिकल टेक्निक्स आर नीडेड फॉर देयर इवेल्युएशन. The same technique cannot be effective both with the lyric and the epic. Lyric એટલે ઉર્મી કાવ્ય, right? And epic, that is Mahakavya. So whatever technique you are going to use to evaluate any lyric cannot be applied to interpret the epic. Okay, epic के interpretation के लिए हम वही टेक्निक को यूज नहीं कर सकते हैं, right? Then the next one is, the new critics are wrong in ignoring the study of the history of literary criticism. A historical study shows that various critical tools have been used effectively in different ages and countries. देखो यहाँ पे हमारा जो मैडम का जो क्वेश्चन था वो भी आएगा. We may talk about our oriental way of interpreting an art. So in different ages and in different countries, historical studies, okay, of any that is one of the tools to criticism was very worth, and their use may be worthwhile in the present also. A historical study is the only way of understanding the comparative merits of the rival schools of criticism. The critic must, therefore, master the critical traditions and form from among the rival critical techniques, choose the one best suited to his purposes. तो यहाँ पे what it says that the new critics have, that is ignoring the study of the history of literary criticism. उन्होंने अहम ब्रह्मास्मि जिसको बोलते हैं कि मुझे ही सब कुछ आता है, राइट, ऐसी उन्होंने एक क्वालिटी रखी कि नहीं, कि न्यू क्रिटिक्स बिलीव दैट देयर ओन वे ऑफ इंटरप्रेटिंग ए टेक्स्ट इज प्रॉपर एंड दे डू नॉट रिक्वायर टू study any text from historical perspective, or even they have ignored about the history of literary criticism. अगर हम साहित्यिक मीमांसा की बात करें तो उसमें भी there are various phases of interpreting an art or criticizing a piece of work. So a historical study shows that various critical tools have been used effectively in different ages and countries. अगर आप हिस्ट्री ऑफ, जैसे हम हिस्ट्री ऑफ लिटरेचर पढ़ते हैं, जैसे हम पॉलिटिकल हिस्ट्री ऑफ इंडिया या कोई भी कंट्री का पढ़ते हैं, तो हमको पता चलता है कि जो गलती, जो किसी ने कोई मिस्टेक किया है, तो दैट शुड नॉट बी रिपीटेड, right, and it should be brought to the notice of the future generation. So similarly, historical study of this criticism shows that various critical tools have been used effectively in different ages and countries. काफी देशों में, right, और काफी ages में some historical tools of evaluating any piece of writing have been used effectively, and their use may be worthwhile in the present also. A historical study is the only way of understanding the comparative merits of the rival schools of criticism. जो हमारे प्रतिस्पर्धी है, राइट, हमारे जो राइवल है, राइट, उनको अंडरस्टैंडिंग फॉर देयर टू अंडरस्टैंड देम, ओके, वी हैव टू focus on that particular thing that okay. Uh, um, the critic must therefore master the critical traditions and from among the rival critical techniques choose the one best suited to his purposes. Okay, so this is equally important. So the last point here, that is how this particularly Chicago critics have criticized, or they have brought forward the limitations of the new critics. A poem is certainly an artistic structure and must be studied as such. The understanding of the poetic meaning of a poem is essential, and textual and structural study is an effective tool for the purpose. But social and biographical factors may also determine its meaning, and the knowledge of them may also help the critic to illuminate the work under study. Hence, the new critics are wrong in totally ignoring the social milieu of the poet. Dear friends, do you agree with this 8 point?
Yes.
ओके, अगर मैं आपको ड्राइडन के एज की बात करें हम, राइट, तो सैटायर बहुत लिखे जाते थे, उसकी एज ऑफ सैटायर बोलते थे, यंग बोलते थे, राइट। तो हमको ऐसा लगे कि व्हाई डिड दिस पर्टिकुलर राइटर्स ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर एज दे हैव रिटन, राइट, मोर अबाउट दिस पर्टिकुलर फॉर्म ऑफ लिटरेचर दैट इज सैटायर। तो उसमें ऐसा था कि उस टाइम पे पॉलिटिकल कंट्रोवर्सी बहुत चलती थी, राइट। और ड्राइडन की जो एज है उसको हम बोलते हैं रेस्टोरेशन एज, राइट, रिस्टोर, रिस्टोर, पुनः स्थापित करना, मतलब जो चार्ल्स टू था, राइट, ही वाज इन एग्जाइल और उसको वापस रख दिया गया। तो उसमें क्या हुआ, जैसे दो पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज होती है राइवल, राइट, उसमें सब राइवल होने लगे, और वही द राइवल्स नाम का जो उसका शेरिडन का हम पढ़ चुके हैं वही। तो काफी सारे ऐसे राइटिंग्स लिखे गए। इवन व्हेन वी स्टडी अबाउट this Jonathan Swift, right? We may have idea about various writings of the works, okay, of the writers, which depicts about the social and biographical factors affect the writing. अगर मेरी आपसे कुछ दुश्मनी है, राइट, तो जब भी मैं अपना क्रिएटिव राइटिंग लिखूंगा तभी मेरे दिमाग में कोई सोशल पॉइंट, कोई पर्टिकुलर, देखो, इफ यू थिंक अबाउट ऑल दिस कंटेम्पररी लिटरेचर, हम सांप्रत साहित्य जो देखते हैं तो उसमें कभी कभी ऐसा लगता है कि दे हैव क्रिटिसाइज सम पर्टिकुलर पॉलिटिकल पार्टी और सम पर्टिकुलर पर्सन, राइट, कहीं किसी पर्टिकुलर इंसान को लक्ष्य में लेकर उसने लिखा है, राइट। तो द सोशल एंड बायोग्राफिकल फैक्टर्स में ऑल्सो determine its meaning, and a knowledge of them may also help the critic to illuminate the work under study. Okay, hence the new critics are wrong in totally ignoring the social consideration of the poet. उसका समाज कैसा है उस टाइम का। जब हम ऐसा बोलते हैं कि सोशल दिस लिटरेचर इज रिफ्लेक्शन ऑफ सोसाइटी, जब हम बोलते हैं कि साहित्य है वो समाज का प्रतिबिंब है, तो this particular consideration or belief of the new critics to ignore the social consideration, the biographical consideration, and see what they have written. These Chicago critics have written that poetry, any poem, is an artistic structure and must be studied as an artistic piece of writing. The understanding of the poetic meaning of a poem is essential, and textual and structural study is an effective tool for the same purpose. Okay, but you cannot ignore this particularly social and biographical factors, okay, which affect the writing. Okay, so all these are the limitations of new criticism. So today we have discussed about these two also. Now before we pause, yes, anything?
Yes, sir. I have one other thing. We have studied two things today.
Uh,
One is about the new criticism, and
uh,
other is about the Chicago uh,
Critics.
critics.
that is limitation of new criticism as per Chicago critics.
So, exactly what are we doing? Are we searching or hunting for some relevancy in something or the other, or what exactly we are doing by criticizing or critiquing or studying it? What are
Yes,
we?
yes.
Is there any relevancy to the society or relevancy to the life as a whole, or the ethics?
Hmm. Yes, a very good question, and it may be very much debatable also. That particularly discussion of this new criticism and limitations, it is a part of our study, and what we say from the curriculum point of view, we are discussing new criticism, okay, and the basic ideas and meaning and nature of new criticism, that what we have discussed, okay, and then we will
साउंड बाइट नहीं है सर.
आवाज चली गई इनकी.
वीडियो भी चला गया सर.
हाँ, अब तो वीडियो चला गया.
वहाँ वो खुद
hello,
आए
हाँ हाँ,
हाँ
ये
सर.
am I audible now?
आपकी आवाज
Now,
चली गई, अब आ रही है.
Now,
now we are able to see
okay,
you, sir.
okay. So,
Yes.
Again,
what? Okay, thank you. Particular was that we had discussed. Am I audible now?
Now, yes.
Hello.
हाँ, अब
Yes,
ठीक है.
okay.
अब ठीक.
So today we discussed, okay, considering the curriculum, that is the point number one, unit number one, point number three in mind. Okay, I have discussed about the salient features of new criticism and how this particular the what we say the tendencies or the way of interpreting an art according to the new criticism has been pointed out that some limitations of the this particularly new critics, okay, that we discussed today. Now it may be possible that the Chicago critics, right, particularly whatever observations they have made in the way of interpretation or criticizing any or critiquing any kind of literary piece that has been what we say these suggested by the new critics, okay, maybe opposed by Chicago critics. Now some of the tendencies which have been elaborated by the Chicago critics as the weaknesses or the limitations of the new critics, okay, there may be another school of critic, right, who have pointed out some weaknesses or limitations of the Chicago critics also. So as such, we may say that there is not a from we cannot say that any particular method of interpreting an art is perfect, right? किसी जब भी हम कोई भी फिल्म का भी हम क्रिटिकल रिव्यू देखते हैं तो ऐसा लगता है कि कोई ने तो 5 में से 4 बताया है, कोई ने 2 बताया है, लेकिन मेरी दृष्टि से तो 3 आने चाहिए, right? So similarly, even if whenever we evaluate any answer book, right, it may be possible that your interpretation, your evaluation may be different. So this is criticism, okay? So it may be possible that if some other critic or some other school, another critical school, interpret it from psychoanalytical point of view or structuralism point of view or even from the Derrida's point of view, post-structuralism point of view, it may differ, right? So we cannot say that any particular method of interpreting an art is perfect, okay, but here we have discussed about what are the limitations of the new critics, okay, according to the Chicago School of Critics, okay. Yes sir.
अच्छा, गुरुजी, recently there was hue and cry regarding the रामचरितमानस.
Yes.
डोर पशु नार गवार जो भी था, तो उसको इस हिसाब से हम इवेल्युएट करें तो क्या होता है कि व्हाट रिसेंटली जो लोग क्रिटिसाइज कर रहे थे उनको हम न्यू क्रिटिक्स कह सकते हैं.
हाँ
they concentrated on the sentence only, मतलब जो श्लोक लिखा है तुलसीदास जी उसको पकड़ के लिख दिया। लेकिन जो चिकागो क्रिटिक की बात करें तो उन्होंने क्या बोला कि यू हैव टू सी द हिस्टोरिकल पार्ट ऑल्सो, उस टाइम की सोशल कंडीशन को देखना चाहिए था, और जो वर्ड्स यूज किए गए, ताड़ना मतलब एजुकेट करना, तो उसी हिसाब से देखा जाए तो रामचरित मानस को जो लोग उसकी टीका करते थे उसके सामने हमें चिकागो वाला अच्छा लगता है।
यस सर, यस, रियली आई अप्रिशिएट सर कि दैट इज व्हाट इज वी से री इंटरप्रिटेशन। कोई एक भी टेक्स्ट जो होती है उसको कंटेम्परेरी सोशल पर्टिकुलर जो है उसके रिलेवेंस से यू कैन इंटरप्रेट इट, राइट? सो दैट मे बी कोरिलेटेड हियर विद दैट न्यू इंटरप्रिटेशन, राइट, ऑफ द सेम टेक्स्ट। जैसे रीवर्डिंग और री इंटरप्रेटिंग हम बोल सकते हैं उसको फ्रॉम द व्हाट वी से प्रेजेंट कंटेक्स्ट।
यस सर।
ओके, okay. May I share just one brief? I'm not going to discuss it now. I will discuss it next time. But just I will.
आपका ये जो टैक्स और पीपीटी हमको शेयर कर देना सर।
हाँ, definitely, sir, definitely. Or please provide me feedback so that I can improve myself next time. Or whatever you wish, you may get from my side, sir. It will be a great pleasure for me. हम पढ़ रहे हैं criticism, right? तो फिर it is our duty, right? हम सब साथ में बैठ के कुछ ऐसा पढ़ें। Just आप अगर आपके टॉपिक जो कैन यू सी दिस स्लाइड?
हाँ
हाँ, 1 मिनट। हाँ, ओके, आप देख सकते हो इंट्रोडक्शन टू फॉर्मलिज्म।
यस यस।
हाँ, तो अभी इसकी बात करनी है हमको, बट वी विल टॉक अबाउट इट नेक्स्ट टाइम इन डिटेल। जस्ट लेट अस सी व्हाट इज फॉर्मलिज्म, बिकॉज द टाइटल। एक बात और भी है कि प्रयोजनम अनुदेश्य मंदो अपि न प्रवर्तते, राइट? ऐसा संस्कृत में कहा है। तो हमारा सबका प्रयोजन, राइट, वन ऑफ द गोल्स इज अपार्ट फ्रॉम लर्निंग, राइट, तो हमारा दूसरा उद्देश्य ये भी है कि हमको एग्जाम में वी हैव टू गेट थ्रू इन द एग्जामिनेशन। तो एग्जामिनेशन में अभी अपना जो टॉपिक है, टॉपिक नंबर 1 का यूनिट 1 का थर्ड टॉपिक, उसमें फॉर्मलिज्म को भी ऐड किया है, राइट? सो एज पर द टॉपिक वी हैव टू लर्न, right, whether it will be asked in the same form in the examination or what particular pattern they may follow, that will be decided by the university. But here formalism is a branch of literary theory and criticism which deals with the structure of the text. It means that external agents outside of the text are not taken into consideration. अभी हमने न्यू क्रिटिक्स में यही पढ़ा ना, राइट? आपको पता चलेगा ना, मतलब हेलो?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, just read particularly the sentence written with the bold case. All the things about culture, politics, and the author's intent or societal influences are excluded from formalism, right? So formalism is a part of new criticism,
New criticism,
right? So we will discuss about this formalism later. The focus is formalism is not only on the text and the contents within the text, such as grammar, syntax, science, and literary truths, etc. Formalism also brings attention to the structural tendencies with the text or across the text, such as genre or and categories. Formalism is based on an analysis of text rather than a discussion on the issues more distant to the text. Okay, so we will discuss about रशियन फॉर्मलिज्म के बारे में हम डिस्कस करेंगे। उसके जो फॉलोवर्स थे और जो प्रोपाउंडर्स थे जिन्होंने रशियन फॉर्मलिज्म जो बोलते हैं उसके ऊपर ज्यादा फोकस किया, दैट आल्सो वी विल डिस्कस। हियर देयर इज वन मोर मटेरियल, राइट? दिस इज आल्सो रिलेटेड टू दिस, एंड यू विल फाइंड plenty of material available on net related to formalism also. Okay, so in the next time we will be focusing on formalism. Just I would like to ask you about what kind of particularly as you have already appeared in the semester 1 examination, right? So was the paper related to this particular topics in the form of what we say descriptive questions only, or only MCQs, or what was the pattern of
last
exam?
time it was MCQ.
Last time
हाँ फर्स्ट सेमेस्टर मतलब पूरा MCQ बेस्ड था.
Okay. And have you been told about the second semester, that is a
No.
pattern of examination?
No, yet not.
Okay, I will, after completion of this particular unit, I will provide you 20 MCQs or 40, whatever mentioned here. Okay, I will provide you with that MCQ also. But I will discuss with the authorities also that if the paper is related to this particular paper number, and if you have to attempt descriptive questions also, right? Then whatever I have discussed today in the form of that material regarding what are the characteristics, features of new criticism, that you have to write in detail, right? जो हमने अभी डिस्कस किया वो क्वेश्चन आंसर के फॉर्म में अगर 14 मार्क का या 20 मार्क का क्वेश्चन आता है तो यू हैव टू राइट इट अकॉर्डिंगली, और अगर वो एमसीक्यू के फॉर्म में ही है तो देन वी आर ऑन अ सेफर साइड कि जो एमसीक्यू जो आता है उसी तरह से हमको तैयार करना पड़ेगा. ओके, सो एनीथिंग एल्स दैट यू वुड लाइक टू आस्क?
सर
Okay.
Sir, I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Sir, we are in this unit, it is saying Western methods in understanding discourses. So, discourses, does it only mean the literature part of it?
Actually, particularly when we talk about any discourse,